Hello, my name is Bill Johnson, and this is my AEP 858 VC Module 5. It's Continuous School Improvement, My Story. The Norton Public Schools and NCHS, Norton Community High School, goal of continuous school improvement. First of all, as your new building leader, let me share my mission, vision, and goals for the school improvement. I believe that our goal is for all students to show improvement in their learning. And I believe that all faculty members and staff are important in this part of the learning process. This building's mission will utilize everyone from the building principal to the janitor to reach our goals, and all will play an important role. So let's start by looking at, first of all, who we are. Norton Public Schools, who are we? Or who are we? We are a city of 2,800 residents. This is according to the 2018 census. And we're in a county of only 5,000, very rural area. District's enrollment of only 683 students, K through 12. The high school enrollment this past year was 214 students. Less than 1% of them are non-English speakers, and we have almost zero migrant population. There is also a very large percentage of our population is white, with very little other minority groups mentioned in our school. Norton Public Schools, first of all, a little bit about us. We have an informational flyer here that I'm going to open up for you. And this was put together many years ago by our school and way back when QPA, and we've just kept updating that from year to year. So first of all, we'll focus more on the high school side of it. Basic expectations for everybody. This Eisenhower's out of space there for some reason. But if we would compare and contrast the attendance of all three buildings, this is the grade school, the junior high, and the high school. We're, as I mentioned, a very rural area and have only 3 school buildings. Graduation rate is 90.5%. We see the ACT composite score, which I'll refer to later on. We have anything, you can see how the library circulation is pushed really hard in the elementary school, which is they have all sorts of reading programs down there to get that number up, which is important at the lower level. High school, our circulation is much less, but we do all of our work on one-to-one Chromebook usage. And this listed below in all these other areas are some activities that we run. We do have a very highly acclaimed FFA department and the state forensics champions the last 4 out of the 5 years in a row, actually. Other things about Norton is, as far as the economic disadvantage, according to Kansas State Department of Education, about 50% of our student body is in the economic disadvantage, and that is also shown on our free and reduced school lunches. I did some figuring here, and oops, that's going to cover it up. But we have, of the 600 plus students, we had about 49% of them on either the free or the reduced school lunch program. So how do we reach the goals of continuous school improvement? One way that we can reach the school improvement, according to Victoria Bernhardt, who is a nationally recognized expert on data improvement, is that we should ask 9 very important questions. These first three questions are, who are we? We just went over who Norton is, Norton School, a little bit about our community. How do we do business? Where are we now? Why do we exist? Where do we want to be? What are the gaps in where we're at now and where we want to be? And then the final 3 is, how can we get to where we want to be? How will we implement different programs to reach that? And how in the world do we determine if we evaluate our own efforts to see if we were successful? So those are many good questions. as your new building principal, will work through those this school year. And it will take some time, and we want everyone to be on board to do that, as I mentioned before. But for right now, let's just focus on just a few of those questions. And I did some research and found out, where are we now? And what I found was I looked at 3 areas to answer that question. These 3 areas of student ACT scores. Now I'm focusing only on the high school now. Norton population changes, and the Norton Community High School dropout rate. So the first one that I looked at was the ACT test scores. And when we look at them and compare them to the state averages, we see that our building average right here is pretty much 21.2 to 22.6. So we are right at the state average almost each and every year. So in conclusion of that, to the analysis of that, we're very close. We exceed, in some cases, the state average over the past years. And so I looked at that and concluded that our students are well prepared to take the ACT. The next area that I looked at was NCHS dropout rate compared to the state averages. So this little chart shows that the blue is Norton Community High School, and our dropout rate, this is the percentage of students that have dropped out. Anywhere from 1 to 5 is on this diagram. So right here is Norton is well above the state average. This was kind of shocking to me because you would think small rural community, you're not going to have that much dropout. Well, our dropout rates in 2018, 2016 were identically at 3.7%. The state average is anywhere from 1.4 to 1.6 throughout the last 4 or 5 years. So this is a little concerning to me, and this data is taken off of the Kansas report card on the Kansas Department of Education site. So this is one area that we need to look at, and this data needs to be explained. Why are we lower? Why are we not doing as well as the state averages? And which is the question which was pointed to us earlier, or what are the gaps? How can we get to where we want to be? Or what do we do to get better? And how will we evaluate these efforts? The next thing that I looked at was the Norton County population changes from 2010 to 2018. As you see right here, there's a chart taken off of the Census Department, and Kansas is gaining population at 2% during these 9 years. Norton County has lost population of 4.2%, and the United States continues to gain population. So although state of Kansas and the United States are both gaining population, rural areas here in northwest Kansas are dropping in population. So why is that important, you might ask? Well, we need to look at these population changes to plan for the future, especially in education. We need to look what's happening in our area of the state, which I'm going to show you a map here in just a second, and how those changes we have actually decreased in population, of course. That affects your school district, but if I was in a school district like around the Wichita area that may be gaining population greatly, that's going to affect how you can do things as well. So there's positives and negatives to increase population and decrease population. Looking at this county map, which is a neat little thing that I found on the Census Bureau. Hopefully it'll pop up here. There, it finally popped up, so I'll go ahead and talk about that. Right here is where Norton is located, and in and around us are all of these areas which are decreasing in population. So on this map, it is the darker the area, the more population has increased. The lighter the area, And here you can see in the white, they have lost population greatly in those areas. So we are surrounded by a big group of places that have dropped in population. So going back to the map, or to the slide, how in the world are we going to work to integrate and save some of the programs that we currently do with a decreasing enrollment, which, as we all know, means probably a decrease in funds in the future. So now what? What are we going to do? What I would suggest as your building principal is we put our focus back on the Norton Community High School continuous school improvement. We're going to work through the 9 questions to improve and understand that improvement is a year-long, if not multi-year plan to reach goals. We're going to work together at various in-services during this school year, and it's going to take some time. But if we focus on it together, that we will be able to accomplish this. As your building leader, I will do my best to build teams of staff members that complement each other during the collaboration process and the data development, evaluation, and dissemination that is needed to happen. Through this, we're going to work together, we're going to build teams, and we're going to dive into it because, as I mentioned at the very beginning, everyone in our school, from the principal to the janitor, is involved in the educational process. Thank you very much for watching. There's some references, and I look forward to the next assignment.